taking you through your morning headlines. It's Denver Sports Daily with Rachel Behill.
And then he goes on to add, and then I regretted it naturally when they showed me the movie, and it could have been me. How cool would it have been to see Lewis Hamilton in Top Gun Maverick? I'm like, this would have been an iconic matchup, and I kind of wish it would have happened, but you always have your top priority, and of course F1 is Lewis Hamilton. So I still think it would have been really cool. There were a bunch of quarterback signings yesterday for, those veteran QBs that just kind of needed to go off the board. And the Washington Commanders signed veteran quarterback Jeff Driscoll on Monday, adding depth at the position behind fellow veteran Marcus Mariota. That's where that got a little interesting for me. We all remember them signing Mariota, and now they add Driscoll. Driscoll played with the Bengals from the 2016 to 2018 season and is another player under general manager Adam Peters. So they were very familiar with each other. Peters was VP of player personnel with the San Francisco 49ers when they selected Driscoll in the 6th round in 2016. The Commanders, of course, are expected to use their draft pick at number 2 to get a quarterback, which will most likely be Jaden Daniels, but could also be Drake May or Michigan's national championship winning JJ McCarthy. Those are the top possibilities right there. In what order they will go, who knows? I'm going with Jaden Daniels will be going to the Commanders. Now, Driscoll, Mariota, and Drake Fromm are the quarterbacks on the roster right now. And then this one that caught a lot of spark last night. The Chiefs added Carson Wentz to a 1-year deal. Wentz will obviously back up Patrick Mahomes. He came from the Philadelphia Eagles in 2016 to 2020. Then he transitioned over to the Colts in 2021, the Washington Commanders in 2022, and last season he was with the Los Angeles Rams in 2023, and now the Chiefs. This one is very, very interesting to me because typically after you win a Super Bowl, you don't really change your backup your backup QBs. And of course, Patrick Mahomes will be the starting QB, but I did just find it a little bit interesting that they decided to move on there. Yesterday was April Fool's Day. Hopefully nobody got you, but George Karl definitely got a few people yesterday with an April Fool's joke. He goes on essentially to say that Josh and him and Carmelo Anthony are all going to get together and have a nice little talk and hash things out. Quote unquote, it's been long enough and it's time to move forward. More soon with a picture of Josh Kroenke and Carmelo Anthony. Hopefully you didn't get that one, but hey, maybe George Karl was being honest. Probably not, if we're going to be completely honest, but would you be interested and would you be willing to forgive Carmelo Anthony if that ended up being the case and they all sat down and hashed it out on a podcast or something? I think it would be fascinating. I would 100% listen the second it came out. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but it's definitely an interesting thought for sure. The Nuggets are playing tonight. They will be taking on the San Antonio Spurs. They have won 10 of the last 11 home games against the Spurs. In the series, Denver has shot at least 50% from the field in 11 of those last 15 meetings. The Spurs, however, are trying to win 3 straight road games for the first time this season. San Antonio is 2-39 when scoring 114 or less this year. So let that be note. The 114 will be what we are paying attention to. Last one for our Mile High Minute presented by Smashburger. The Sixers could be getting Joel Embiid back very, very soon. Per ESPN, Embiid would return to the lineup as soon as Tuesday night versus the Thunder. Tonight, he could possibly be coming back. The reigning MVP has been out since January 30th with a knee injury. The Sixers will need all the help that they can get. They're currently hanging on to the number 8 seed in the Eastern Conference with 7 games remaining. We will head on up to Boulder now because Lil Wayne is playing in a concert on campus after the Colorado Buffalo spring game later this month. The game itself will take place at 1 p.m. on April 27th at Folsom Field, with tickets going on sale for students on Tuesday and then the general public on Wednesday. Those price ranges will go from $25 for the East Club to $5 seating for students. Then after the game, there will be a Lil Wayne concert at the CU Event Center dubbed Outback Presents The Show, a primetime weekend party. Those tickets start at $29.50 for before fees and will go on sale on Monday afternoon. Find this one interesting. Richie Carney and I talked a little bit about this. There's so much star power up there in Boulder that I feel like more people are looking forward to the Lil Wayne concert than possibly the game. And I don't know, maybe if they would have done like a halftime show or something, because I feel like people are just going to buy the Lil Wayne concert tickets and then not even go to the game. I don't know. Let me know. Would you go to the spring game too to see what Prime's been doing up there in Boulder, to see what the offensive line is going to look like behind Shadur, in front of Shadur? Or are you just like, yeah, I'll go see Lil Wayne and go party and have fun on April 27th? Granted, that is also draft day. It'll be the last round of the draft, obviously, but it is draft day. So just interesting. I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments. We will switch now to the Colorado Rockies. Oh, the Rockies, you guys. I feel like I say this every single day, but this one is actually not their fault. So the Rockies ditched their more blue-tinted purple dubs back in 2017, and they opted for a more true purple look over the last 7 seasons. People have grown and known to love that purple. Now, Fanatics and Nike appeared to have ruined the Rockies' signature purple. It's been very controversial, the new MLB uniforms, which have been designed and manufactured in partnership between Fanatics and Nike, like I said, and they have been heavily criticized. There's been issues ranging from managing sweat, the smaller name, and the number plates, making the uniforms look more like a quote-unquote knockoff. And you can see here, Jake Shapiro pulled some pictures. The one on the left is this year's purple, and the one on the right is last year's purple. And I agree, it does look more like a bluish purple compared to just the true purple that you see on the right. Now, the Rockies are, in fact, playing again, and they did lose yesterday. So they have 1 win so far on the season, but they lost 5-0 to the Cubs. They will play at 5:40 p.m. today. Make sure you check out denversports.com. Jake Shapiro has a great article on how Chris Bryant is off to the worst start of his career, and he really dives into the numbers, which is frustrating because of how much they're paying him, but also just because of the comments that have come out recently. But it is what it is. Check out denversports.com for that article. And now the Avalanche, they end up losing to the Columbus Blue Jackets 4-1. This was a bit of a heartbreaker one considering the Blue Jackets record. They just couldn't find their rhythm at all. They had almost 50 shots on the net, but honestly, couldn't come away with hardly anything. It didn't feel like a comeback was brewing like we've seen out of a lot of the Avs games recently, and it was the first game of a 3-game road trip. But Mikko Rantanen, a frustrated Mikko Rantanen, ended up speaking on this, and we heard from this thanks to our friends over at Gorilla Sports. Take a listen.
Their goaltender tonight, was he an issue? But he was on his game, it seemed.
Yeah, he was for sure. I think we had some looks for sure to score more than one. We had like almost 50 shots, so usually you get more than one, but he had a good one. Good game tonight.
Given how good you've been over the last 15 games, is this one that you just chalk up as over and move on?
Yeah, I think we still had a lot of chances to score a couple more goals, but yeah, I don't know. I think obviously we lost 3 out of 4 now, so gotta look some things and try to improve. Maybe the 2 days off help here, get some rest and go back at it.
This is a bit of a frustrating one because essentially the Avs were looking so good. Now they're kind of on a losing streak. Things haven't been going their way. And like Mikko you could just tell from the way he was answering questions and just his overall demeanor that he was clearly very frustrated. And it got to be hard as you're coming into the end of the season, despite already clinching. You know you want to be on the up. Of course, you always want to be on a winning streak, but the fact that they had nearly 50 shots on net and nothing went in, that's where I'm like, you know what? I don't think this was necessarily on the Avs. Like, yeah, it may not have been their best game by any means, but still 50 shots on net, you would expect to at least get something in the back of the net. So I think the Blue Jackets just had a really good night. And I think that if you're an Avs fan, you kind of overlook this one. Now, of course, the other games you kind of have to start paying a little bit of attention to. But again, it's the end of the season. It's like when you're getting close to summer break and you're like, all right, we're almost there. I just have to get through these last couple of weeks. That's kind of what it's felt like for, both the Avs and the Nuggets right now. So I wouldn't look too much into that game last night if I was an Avalanche fan. Of course, just let them continue on the road trip. Hopefully they'll get 1 or 2 games and they can get a win there, return back home. And then, of course, we just look forward to the playoffs, which will be here before we know it. March Madness is still going on. Of course, we all love it, but if you were watching last night, then you watched Iowa defeat LSU 94-87 in an Elite 8 rematch of the 2023 NCAA Women's Final. So Caitlin Clark delivered a star performance of 41 points and 12 assists. Her 41 points included 9 3-pointers. It was a crazy game. I know there are going to be insane numbers on it. And I've even heard that there have been more people watching the women's NCAA tournament this year than we have the men. So interesting. I'll be really interested to kind of see what the final numbers end up looking on that point, but to this. And then here's just one of those weird stories I always like to end the show with. The Portland arena that hosted several NCAA women's tournament games over the weekend had incorrectly drawn 3-point lines. Shortly before Sunday's NC State-Texas matchup, officials noticed the 3-point line for one of the baskets was noticeably shorter than regulation, while the other basket was correct. Coaches were given the option to delay the start of the game by an hour to retape the line, but decided to play the game as scheduled, with NC State winning 76-66. Now, per ESPN, at least 6 games were played using the incorrect lines, and teams shot worse from the incorrect line than they did from the correct one. Such a weird story. Again, it's one of those ones that you could go and like tell your coworkers or your family and friends, and it just really caught me off guard when I was reading all about that. How do you not notice? And the fact that 6 games were played with that is just mind-blowing to me. So that is going to do it for our Tuesday edition. I'm like, today's Tuesday, correct? Today is Tuesday. Yes, thank you all for letting us know there was no sound. Sometimes the back end of our equipment, I don't know what it is. It just doesn't do sound up like all of a sudden. So always please let us know. It helps us read all of your comments and everything of that nature. Good morning, Rachel. Good morning to all of you. Thank you so much for spending just a little bit of your time with me here and getting you caught up on everything that you need to know in the headlines. This one, Rockies ownership purchased the cheapest color available, shaking my head. I think this is more just of a Fanatics and Nike. I have a feeling that this partnership may come to an end before the contract actually comes to an end, or they're going to have to fix it. It's not just the Rockies who are having these issues. I know a lot of other teams in the MLB are frustrated with the uniforms. And to be honest, I do think that they look a little cheap. They look like the knockoff ones. And when you buy a jersey, especially for how expensive they are, you want it to have that nice feel, that beautiful color, the stitching. That's how you know it's a real deal and you actually spent the money on it. So I don't blame any Rockies fans, but I also don't blame any of the players for complaining about the sweat and etc. There's been tons of stuff that have been issues with it. So always interesting, but I love hanging out with you guys each and every single day. I'm going to be on coffee break, 12 p.m. Come hang out with us. Will Peterson and I, we're going to be talking about the Avs a little bit. And of course, we'll get into kind of the other sports stuff. The Carson Wentz stuff just really threw me for a loop last night. I was not expecting it. So we'll dive into a little bit on that as well. I appreciate you guys again for spending a little bit of your Tuesday with me, and we will see you guys at 12 p.m. Or if not, I will see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. for another episode of Denver Sports Daily. Get back to work, everybody. Bye.